Okay, good morning. This is now getting to the end, Unit 9, Section 1. We're solving a system by graphing the two equations. Okay, so I'm going to look at both these equations. I'm going to graph both of them. Sometimes the equation is going to be written in y equal mx plus b forms that allow me to graph. Remember, b is going to be your y-intercept and m is your slope. So keep that in mind when you're graphing these. Adjust a little, there we go, a little bit bigger. Again, these two things we want to keep in mind. Okay, so the first equation I look at, the y-intercept is -4, so I'm going to go down, put a dot at -4. Okay, this is my first one I'm going to do. And then my second one, I'm going to kind of keep that order all the way through. And now my slope from this point, rise up 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and go over 2. There's my second point. And just hand sketch a line through. And now the second point, y equal -x plus 3. I'm going to graph +3 first. So go up to my y-intercept at +3. In my slope here, I'm going to write this as a fraction, -1 over 1. So I would go down 1 and then over 1. Put a dot right there. And roughly draw my line through. And what I'm looking for is where the two lines intersect. And it looks like they intersect right here at 2 and 1. So 2, 1 is my intersection. Alright, so I'll give you a chance to look that over again. Again, double check how we did this. The first line right here is I plotted the -4 first. That was my y-intercept. And then I did my slope 5 over 2 from this line. Again, up 5 and over 2. And the second line was this one right here. And that was plotting +3 first. So up to 3, and put a dot at 3, and then from there, using my slope, down 1 takes care of the -1, and then over to the right 1, finish it off with a dot there and then draw it through. So then my solution is where they intersect. Okay, so 2, 1 is the intersection, and that is my solution. So keep that in mind. All right, question number 3. Y equal 2x minus 4 and y equal 4. So right away I'm going to make this 2 over 1. I just want that into a fraction. So graphing this one first, -4 is my y-intercept. So I'm going to go down, put a dot at -4, and then from that point go up 2 and over 1. There's my finishing point. Draw my line by hand as best I can. If you wanted to use a ruler, you could do that too. And this next equation is just one variable, y equal 4. So I'm going to find in the y-axis, find 4 on the y-axis. And this is a horizontal line going through y equal 4. So, and it looks like they intersect up here somewhere. My graph line isn't perfect, so right about here would be my choice. So 4.5, 4 would be pretty close. Okay, if they're going to the nearest one, maybe it could be at 4, 4. So around there. So there is your solution set for this one. Again, this line right here is a horizontal line. So I'll put that on there for you so you remember. Horizontal line going through 4. All right. Number 5. These are written in standard form. So here we have standard form. Standard form I graph a little bit different than y equals mx plus b form. In standard form, I let one of the variables be 0 and I solve it for that particular other variable. So if I let x be 0, and I'm going to cover up, let x be 0 first. I put a little 0 there, so that's going to be gone. You get 2y equals 6. So when x equals 0, y has to be 3. Again, 2 times 3 gives you 6, so y is 3. So when x is 0, y is 3. So there's my first point at 0, 3. My second point now, I actually let y be 0. Okay, put a 0 there for y. I'm going to cover that up so it's gone. Okay, so then you have negative 5x is equal to 6. Dividing both sides by negative 5. Again, I let y be 0, and I get 6 over negative 5 as my other solution point. So negative 6, it's going to be negative 1 1/5. So back right about here, and the y value was 0. So there's my point right about there. Draw my line through both of those points as best I can. Alright, the next one, same thing. Let x be 0 first. Okay, so I'll have to decide, so I'm going to keep track of this. X is 0. So cover that up. 2y equals negative 2. Divide both sides by 2, and I get negative 1 for an answer. Again, 2y equals this. Divide both sides by 2, and I get negative 1. Okay. So plot this point 0. Negative 1 is going to be right about here. And then if I let y be 0, I'm going to cover that up. Negative x equals negative 2. So then x would equal 2. So there we go. There's my other point right there. So draw your line as best you can. And it looks like my intersection point is down here somewhere. So negative 2 1/2, negative 2 1/2. And don't worry about having the exact answer the answer key has. As long as you're within reason of that intersection point, you'll be fine. Again, if I had a ruler, I'd probably be a lot more accurate. So there's my solution set right there. Again, standard form is a little bit different graphing because I'm going to let the x be 0, solve for y. In the other case, I'm going to let y be 0 and solve for x. So all my points are going to be on the x and y axes if you do this correctly. Number 7, last one of this type. Okay, so I'm going to let x be 0 first. So my first point, x is 0. Let's figure out what y is. 2y is equal to 8, so y would have to be 4. So that's my first point, 0 and up 4. My second point, I'm going to let y be 0. So that's gone. So my second point, y is 0. And x would be 8 over negative 3. Now 8 over negative 3 is negative 2 2/3. So negative 2 a little bit more, so we're looking at a point right about there somewhere. Again, we're estimating about where that be. Draw your line all the way through your graph. Don't just stop it between the points, make sure it goes completely through your graph. Okay, the next one. I let x be 0. I get 2y equals negative 8. Divide both sides by 2 and I get negative 4. So 0, negative 4 is down here. And the other one, I let y be 0. So there's 0 in my y area. So 0 there. And then 5x equals negative 8. So this would be negative 8/5, which is negative 1 and 3/5. So negative 1 and 3/5 puts it maybe right about there somewhere. So you draw your line as best you can, shoot it up through there. And it looks like the intersection is going to be at negative 2, 1. Again, going back here, negative 2 and up 1. There's my intersection. Okay, so there's my solution. Alright, I'm going to let you finish the rest of these by graphing. You can also use Desmos at any time. Desmos graphing. So if you use Desmos graphing calculator, you can just put those equations in as is, and where they intersect will be your solution. If they don't intersect, they are parallel to each other. You have no intersections. Okay, and if they are the exact same line twice, you have all intersections, which means every point you pick for one will be a point on the other again, there's two possibilities here. Okay, I'm going to write this on the back. Okay, you can have three possible solutions. Okay, number one point, the lines cross in exactly one spot. Okay, so you just need the coordinate. Okay, alright, so that's the first one. 1 point, lines cross in exactly one spot. Number two, it could be lines are parallel. Okay, now what does that mean, lines are parallel? Well, it means they have the same slope. Okay, they have the same slope. Okay, and then you have no solution. Okay, and the third possibility, equations are identical. Okay, they may look different, but the equations actually are identical, and you get all solutions. And what I mean by that is this. Let me give you an example of this one. X plus 2y is equal to 6. And what if I double everything? 2x plus 4y is equal to 12. They look different, but they're really the exact same solution, just in reduced form. So you could get all solutions. And then there's no solution, lines are parallel, they have the exact same slope. And then of course, again, exactly one spot, so you get one solution, 1 point. Okay, there you go. And good luck with your rest of the questions.